Quay, greetings, feathers up for another lunch break video. And this is our series, I guess, of reading our letters to public officials. Now, the last one we read is a letter that is in the works, but the one we're going to read today is to a senator, and this went out. And so, as I had mentioned before, I was going to go over the letters that actually went out. So we still have the governor's letter and the letter to the councilwoman to review. This is the one of those three. Okay, so this is a letter I sent as a result of obtaining a notice from the senator in the mail regarding tax lien assistance. So I figured, since the senator was so mindful as to want to assist with the tax lien issue, it would be fitting for me to write to him. And so I give credit to Mr. Comrie, and it was with a level of all due respect, because he did reach out. So here's what I wrote to Senator Comrie. Dear Senator Comrie, I would like to express my thanks to you for reaching out via postal mail regarding my home being listed on the tax lien sale list. I have written Councilwoman Selvina Brooks Powers, as she also reached out via flyer to my home, or via flyer to my home. I wish to attach that email here as well. So I'm letting him know that along with himself, I was contacted by a councilwoman, a local councilwoman, Selvina Brooks Powers, and I wanted to let him know that I have been contacting them as a result of their both sending me notice to my home. In the case of Mrs. Brooks Powers, she had people actually knock on my door, and so it was very personable, because she sent out two representatives, and they didn't just put the notice in the mailbox. These two women knocked on my door, and afterwards I was glad that I did answer, because that's when I first got the idea that perhaps I will write the councilwoman. So I'm just letting the senator know this. Okay. Senator Comrie, I'm requesting my home be removed from the tax assessor's list, and for any former and future taxes to be voided in compliance with Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the Constitution for the United States, which was and truly still is the legal lawful standing of any American Indian, of which I am. As Indians are considered one of the sovereigns involved in the United States corporate government, it is my ancestral birthright duty to stand on my original standing on my lands. I do not wish to attempt to try and explain the ways and means by which the federal government has misclassified Americans known as Indians into blacks, colored, and finally the unofficial entity known as African American. But we know this was done via the first federal census of 1790. I can tell you that as a result of these undertakings, Indians were paper genocided from their original standing on their lands. Mr. Comrie, I know this is not your personal doing, and therefore I am forced to beseech you to please remove my home from any federal, state, or even international registries or lists as part of the collateral attached to the debts of the United States government. Please see my public notice attached. I owe nothing to this entity or any of its constituents. In fact, I am the one who is owed by all of these entities. The states that they assume ownership of have been placed on top of my ancestral lands, and as an Indian, I receive no just compensation. The very least the federal government can do is to stop making me pay to live on land that was first the birthright of my people. I thank you, Senator Comrie, for anything you can do to rectify this situation. It is my hope that Congress and even the state realizes that I am not due any retaliation, as I am only reading the Constitution that they were expected to uphold. With regards to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, which is the Commerce Clause, this is what Congress sees as the means to undermine the original standing of American Indians. It is simply misapplied. I know nowhere on earth besides the Americas where a Commerce Clause removes men and women or even citizens from their lawful standing, let alone allows for one sovereign to literally dominate another with a plenary authority that is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. If regulating commerce means an American Indian must be changed in any way, shape, or form, for example, to federally recognized or incorporated into a religion or 501c3, all of which the Constitution speaks nothing of, or to go from American Indian to a nationless colored Negro black or an African American, I am sure you may agree, Mr. Comrie, there's something innately wrong with how the Commerce Clause is being interpreted, if not the fact that only one foreign sovereign entity, the United States, gets to solely regulate the resources of the people original to the land with no compensation to those people. Yet, this withstanding, I am not in an Indian tribe, which Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 is referring to, who are no doubt federally recognized or incorporated terms or entities who are, again, not constitutionally valid, but are unconstitutional creations of a commercial entity that somehow uses commerce and the Commerce Clause to supersede and nullify even basic tenets of the Constitution. I have witnessed men and women who operate in private as a means to get their property, quote unquote, I put, off of tax assessment as private property. As an American so-called Indian, I cannot operate in private, but should not have to when, unlike they, I have a legal, lawful standing on the land and even in the Constitution as an Indian not taxed. Once more, Senator Comrie, I beseech your support of the Constitution and in my respectful request to have my home be permanently removed from being subject to any taxes, past, present, and future, free of retaliation due to my constitutional standing and per my public declaration, which supersedes any former citizenships I was assumed to have. Thank you so kindly for your time. Senator Comrie. Kind regards, Anthony Clements. I chose to read this letter to Mr. Comrie first, although it was the second letter that I sent in the three letters that I sent. His was the second, and the governor was actually the third. The councilwoman was the first. I sent them in the order that, again, I received notice from the councilwoman and the senator. What I have to say about my letter to the senator, I think it's the more potent or poignant of all the letters I sent. I think I was speaking to him man to man, and I think I went a little harder than I did with the letters to the two women. I realized, because I thought about it, and I realized the reason why I think I really let a lot out with the senator is because I've known the senator, I've known of him longer than the other two. I felt a more personal thing with Senator Comrie, and in some way that is to his credit. He has always been very visible in his position, even before he was a senator. I believe he started out as a local councilman himself, I believe. But the point is, as I looked at all three of the notices that went out, I realized his was, for some reason, I felt like I was being much more personable with him. And it is because, again, I've known of him almost for as long as I've lived in Queens. He was like a councilman for Queens, and he's just always been very visible. So that is why, through Mr. Comrie, I was really able to express some of my personal feelings about the matter. I realize it is with him that I outright said that I feel that I am owed as an American so-called Indian. I was able to say that to him. And it is because I personally felt that I knew him more than the other two public servants. So that letter went out. I have not heard back from any of the public servants that I wrote, but I sent them both. I sent all three of them email, and as well as physical copies of my letters. So I am trusting that these individuals, they get it, especially when I say something about public officials' obligation to uphold the Constitution. There is something about our system that I don't particularly like, and what that is that if you don't make a fuss, if you don't take a stand to personally express your political position, I'm not particularly happy that a system like this will just go ahead and pretty much, when it comes to Americans, I have to say, they're messing us over, because we it's one thing to not be at the top of a system when you have a birthright to be, but it is really rather ratchet to be put at the absolute bottom. And you will, if you're an Indian that has any kind of conscience, when that sits with you, you will realize that this was all intentional. Now, the public officials I wrote to, this is not something they did personally. So I can never get on a platform like this and proceed to lay this on them like that. In fact, I am appealing to them. This was not something they set in motion. And I think that will help Indians just to remember that. Because when you sit with how unjustly things have gone down for American so-called Indians, it's very angering. It's very upsetting. This video is not to call out Senator Comrie as if this is his personal doing, but it is an appeal in hope that he will, once he has been made aware, he will do the right thing. And this goes for all of the 3 public officials that have gotten letters from me so far. Again, that's the senator, it's the governor, and it's a local councilwoman. As I said, I still would like to send that the first letter we looked at. I will end up editing it because I think I want to add something that I said to Comrie, Senator Comrie, to that wasn't said. And I think it has to do with either not being compensated, although it is my ancestral land, or the feeling of being owed. I think that's one of those I think I left out, but I kind of do want to stress that point. Again, I have to say this is not for every Indian, because some Indians are known as civilized, okay? Civilized Indians have really no interest, and I think they would bear some of the brunt of the disenfranchising of Indians who were misclassified black. What I mean is, if there are quote-unquote Negro Indians who've always known that they were Indian, but were okay knowing that every other Indian in America, known as uncivilized, is still being treated as a foreigner, and they were okay with that, that means that they've completely sold us out. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm a peaceful Indian. I don't advocate any kind of violence. I'm a peaceful Indian. But I really think it bears repeating when I say the civilized tribes are truly nowhere to be found, the original ones. So we know that they are avoiding being found out. That is why there's 2 types of Indians, not just the in the Constitution, but literally there are 2 types of Indians maybe 3 if you include the Fakians. The 2 types of Indians are civilized and uncivilized. The civilized Indians, they're fine with there being uncivilized Indians being treated like African slaves. They clearly are fine with that. And they are smug because they have the storefront, which is the Mongolian version of the civilized tribes. That is that is who they hide behind. I just want to be clear about that because I say it, but I don't know if I'm being clear. And what I'm saying is the real civilized tribes they now promote the idea of being quote unquote black. They promote the idea of out of Africa. Civilized Indians are down with all of that. They are down with the religion of their colonizer. They are down with the political system of their colonizer. They are down with the out of Africa theory. So I really don't, there's not much they can do for uncivilized Indians. There's not much that they will assist us with because they're too busy calling us black and trying to get us to be black. As the premier Indians of the colonizer, they are receiving some kind of payoff in this commercial system. Maybe their businesses will never go out of business. You know, that is the kind of deal that a commercial system can give you. You know, it's sort of like how those sitcoms that they appear and then they go away for no apparent reason, but some sitcoms just stay no matter how bad the ratings are. It's that kind of situation, I believe. This is my personal opinion about what the reformed and now black civilized, well, they're not going to be known as civilized tribes anymore. They're going to be African Americans. That's what. And again, the clue we got was from Judge Brown when he said, you know, that the Indians that he knows of, which would be his own, they chose to be called black. So that was what clued us into what's going on with the reform into black, Negro colored, and out of Africa Indians. Those are the Indians, I might as well add here, that are also down with saying that they have origins in Mali, which totally, that, you know, that's my pet peeve. I really, it doesn't help the cause of an American Indian to say that they're from Mali, because that means you're an immigrant, just like the Siberian, Mongolian Indians, and just like the Moors, who are all of a sudden American. In our last video, we said originally Moors are said to be North African Berbers, but now the whisper among Indians is that, oh no, oh, the Moors was here. Oh, they, again, when it counted for them to be us, they were nowhere to be found. And that is during the Sundry Act, again, where Indians were being treated like Negroes, but the ones who said that they were Islamic Moors under a sultan, they didn't get treated like Negroes. So it might have been, I don't know, perhaps it would have been worthwhile back then for a minute for the Moors to identify us as us, but they didn't. So they pick and choose when they want to be quote unquote American. Okay, they pick and choose, right? So now that Indians are waking up, now we have a parasite attached to our backs, talking about, oh no, we Indians too. And we go back to Mali and the great Mali Empire. No. You're not American if you trace yourself back to Mali, okay? Again, we are not advocating any kind of violence or anything like that. We're peaceful Indians, but we cannot allow liars to rule the day, misleaders, supplanters. The fight has always been a grave thing for real American Indians. So we can't afford to have someone who grins in our face, tap dancing and jigabooing and whatever stepping, whatever they do, whatever that ritual. We can't afford to have you confusing the issue. You're not helping, okay? You're helping yourself to be American so you can partake of our birthright, but it's not yours. It's not yours. And I have to keep saying it because I find that is the biggest obstacle to American. It's not Caucasians. It's not Caucasians. It's the ones who insist that they are you. Caucasians can't do that. I say that all the time. Caucasians cannot replace Americans. Moors can. If we are foolish enough, after all we've been through, to just give them our birthright because they look like us. It's not enough to look like us. Big newsflash, Moors. It's not enough. And you know this, but you will insist on this. You will insist on the fact that you're also known as quote-unquote Negro. That means you're American? No, it doesn't. I'm very sorry. We don't need your karma. We've already had very, very unfortunate circumstances. We don't need to take on your baggage, Moors. You got to learn to be you like a man. And I mean that. You got to own your shit, okay? Stop piggybacking off of American Indians. It has to stop. You are not us. And you were never us when it counted, when it would have counted. So you can't be us when it really don't make no difference. It's just a benefit to you at this point. And somebody has to say it. These compromised civilized Indians, they're also including Mongolians. Not just Moors. They got to include everybody, okay? Because the Moors are they like the song, they're every woman, okay? Like the song Every Woman. That's what Moors are to, they are everything and everyone, okay? Outside of America, they were, because they had their hands in everything outside of the Americas, okay? But the Americas, it's not for them. They've betrayed us hand over fist, y'all. They've betrayed us when we are at our worst. They betrayed us. They are not brothers. They are not brothers. They are doppelgangers. And if all was good in the hood, they would have no need to, they wouldn't have to be so desperate to be American. They would be proud of their many accomplishments outside of the Americas, you know, and that would be it. But if American Indians really look at it, they are desperate to be American. They will look at you and insist that you are a Moor while you're telling them that you're not. They go, but you are. No, I'm not, son. No, I'm not. I'm sorry, you don't get to define me. Maybe your legal system did when I was unaware that they were doing that. Maybe you can do the name and claim thing with your legal system that you created, Moors, but you can't do that once an American Indian is aware of who you are and what you're doing. So on that note, people act so weird out here sometimes in these streets. I think that's where we're going to leave off for now. We have two more letters to read. And these are the letters, again, that actually went out. And so that's what we have to do next. Thank you for watching. I don't want to make it too long of a video. I think we just made 30 minutes. Till next time, be and stay only American.